Hey everyone, welcome to Devlog 3. This week's been fun. We added a working health bar for the player, gave our enemy some basic movement, and even got their animations up and running. Things are finally starting to feel alive. So I started by setting up the health bar using a canvas and added 5 heart icons to represent the player's life. Then I created a health display script and used Unity's UI system to connect it all. After coding the logic, everything seemed to work. When the player collides with an enemy, a red heart turns gray, just like you'd expect. But then a weird issue popped up. After 5 collisions, the player's sprite disappears, but 1 heart still shows. And if I code it so all hearts disappear completely, the player's sprite renderer is still active. Yeah, something's off. We'll come back and fix that later. Next up, I worked on enemy movement. I created a new script called enemy movement, grabbed the rigid body in the start method, and set up the other necessary variables. Then I made sure to define a transform for the player, basically telling the enemy who to follow around. So now, the enemy locks onto our player object in Unity and starts moving toward them. But I didn't want the enemy chasing the player from the start, so I added a trigger zone using onTrigger enter 2D and onTrigger exit 2D. Now the enemy only starts following the player when they enter that trigger area. Feels a bit more dynamic that way. I also added logic for flipping the enemy's direction based on the player's position, using a simple flip parameter and facing direction toggle. Right now it's just a triangle chasing you around, but hey, it feels like it's thinking. Now it was time to give the enemy some life. I set up the enemy animator with basic parameters, an idle and moving boolean, and hooked everything up in the animator inspector. Then I jumped back into the enemy movement script. First, I defined the animator component there, and then started laying the foundation for an enemy state machine. I created an enum for different enemy states while modded on like idle and moving, and then set up a method called changeState to handle switching between them. Inside that method, I wrote the logic to update the enemy's animation state based on movement. And once I plugged everything in and hit play, it worked. The enemy now idles when not moving and smoothly transitions into the moving animation when chasing the player. Definitely feels like we're starting to bring a bit of soul into these triangles.
All right, so this devlog, we did quite a bit. We added a player health bar with a heart system, set up enemy movement with player detection, and even got the enemy animator and a basic state machine running. And while all that was happening, behind the scenes, we've been working on the running animation frames for our main character, which you'll get to see in action soon. Thanks a lot for watching. If you're enjoying the journey so far, consider leaving a like and maybe subscribing. I know it helps a ton. And as always, if you have ideas or feedback, drop them in the comments. See you in the next one.